Nico stood on the edge of the landing platform, his eyes wide as he looked at the strange world before him. The sky was a deep purple, with two suns setting slowly in the distance. Tall trees with silver leaves swayed gently in the warm breeze. The air smelled different, fresh but with a hint of something unfamiliar. He took a deep breath. This was Vetra, the home of the alien race he had heard so much about. His mission was simple but dangerous. He had to make contact with the alien Queen Mira. She was a powerful ruler known across the galaxy. Some called her wise, others whispered that she was cold and unforgiving. But Nico did not care about rumors. He had to talk to her to find out the truth. The platform shook lightly as the ship's engines powered down. The ramp lowered with a soft hiss. Nico stepped out carefully, his boots touching the smooth metal surface. Round him, he saw a few figures waiting, tall, slender beings with blue skin and large black eyes. They wore simple robes that glowed. Faintly, one of them stepped forward. "Welcome, human," the tallest said in a calm voice. "I'm Elaine, the Queen's messenger. She awaits you." Nico nodded. He felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had trained for years for this moment. Now, it was here. Elaine led him through long halls inside a huge building made of shining white stone. The walls were decorated with glowing patterns that shifted slowly. Nico tried to remember every detail. This was the center of the alien power, and every step felt heavy with meaning. After a few minutes, they reached a large room. At the far end sat Queen Mira. She was taller than anyone Nico had seen before. With skin that shimmered like silver under the light, her eyes were sharp, filled with intelligence and a hint of sadness. Her voice was calm but firm when she spoke. "You are far from your home, human," Mira said quietly. "I wonder why you have come." Nico stepped forward, trying to speak clearly. "I'm Nico. I come from Earth. We want to learn and share peace. I hope we can understand each other." The Queen looked at him carefully. "Many have come before you with promises. If you keep them, you must understand. Our people guard many secrets. Some are too dangerous to share." Nico nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty, but I believe humans can be trusted." Mira's eyes narrowed slightly. "You are brave to say that, or perhaps foolish." Suddenly, the Queen stood up. She moved with a grace that was almost unreal. She walked toward a wall at the side of the room. Without hesitation, she pressed her hand against a hidden panel. The wall slid open, revealing a dark passage. "This is the forbidden room," she said softly. "No one but the Queen may enter. But I will make an exception for you." Nico's heart raced. The stories he had heard said that anyone who entered the forbidden room never returned the same. Some never returned at all. "Why do you trust me?" he asked. Mira turned to face him. "Because I see something different in you, something no one else has shown. But beware, once you enter, there is no turning back." Nico swallowed hard but stepped forward. The passage was narrow and cold. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, lighting his way. He could hear a low hum, like the breath of a sleeping giant. At the end of the hall, a large door waited. It opened slowly as he approached, revealing a room filled with light and strange machines. Walls were lined with panels that pulsed softly. In the center stood a pedestal with an object covered by a cloth. "Welcome to the heart of Vetras." "Power," Mira said, entering behind him. "Here lie secrets that shaped our world and could change many others." Nico stepped inside, feeling the weight of history around him. He wanted to ask so many questions, but he stayed quiet. The Queen watched him carefully. "Before you learn anything, you must prove you are worthy," she said. "This room tests those who enter. Only the strong and wise pass." Nico nodded again. He had trained for challenges, but he did not know what this test would be. Suddenly, the room shifted. The walls moved, and lights changed color. A soft voice echoed in his mind. "Begin the trial, Nico of Earth." He took a deep breath and prepared himself. The fate of many might depend on his success. Nico stood in the center of the room, his heart beating fast. The light around him was soft but bright enough to show every detail. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and the machines hummed quietly. The air felt heavy, as if the room was alive. He looked around, trying to understand what was happening. The soft voice inside his mind spoke again, calm and clear. Your first challenge begins now. Suddenly, the pedestal in the center moved. The cloth covering the object fell away. Underneath was a small cube, shining with many colors. It looked like it was made of light itself. Nico reached out carefully to touch it. The moment his fingers brushed the cube, images flashed through his mind. He saw stars, planets, and vast galaxies spinning in space. He saw a great war, with ships firing bright beams of energy. Then he saw humans and aliens working together, building something new and strong. When the images stopped, Nico felt the cube warm in his hand. The voice spoke again. This is the memory cube. It shows you the past and the future. To pass this test, you must answer a question. Nico focused. He waited for the question. The voice asked, what is the most important thing for any being in the universe? Nico thought for a moment. He remembered all his training, all the history he knew. Then he spoke simply, trust. Without trust, no one can work together or find peace. The light from the cube grew brighter. Correct, the voice said. Trust is the foundation of all bonds. Suddenly, the walls shifted again. The room changed shape, becoming taller and narrower. Nico felt the air grow colder. Ahead, a doorway appeared. Proceed. The voice said. Nico moved forward carefully. He entered a long corridor with smooth, shining floors. On each side, screens showed scenes from different worlds. Some showed beauty forests, oceans, cities filled with light. Others showed war, destruction, and fear. As he walked, Nico noticed something strange. The screens began to change, showing scenes of himself. They showed moments from his past, his childhood, his training, the moments when he decided to explore space. He saw his fears, his hopes, and his dreams. At the end of the corridor, a figure waited. It was a tall alien wearing a simple uniform. His eyes were kind but serious. Welcome, Nico, the figure said. I am Rol, one of the Queen's guardians. Your next test is a choice. Nico looked at Rol, waiting. Rol continued, you will be shown two paths. One leads to safety and comfort. The other leads to danger but great knowledge. Choose wisely. Nico felt a chill run through him. He understood this was more than a test. It was a test of courage. The corridor doors opened, revealing to hallways. The left hallway was bright and warm. Soft music played. Nico could see images of happy families and peaceful towns. The right hallway was darker. Strange noises echoed, and the walls looked rough and cold. Nico closed his eyes for a moment. Then he chose the right hallway. Rol nodded. You have chosen the path of courage. Nico stepped inside. The darkness surrounded him, but he moved forward with steady steps. The noises grew louder, strange growls and whispers. Shadows moved at the edge of his vision. Suddenly, a creature appeared in front of him. It had four arms and glowing eyes. It looked dangerous. Nico froze for a moment, then remembered his training. He spoke calmly. I mean no harm. The creature tilted its head, studying him. Then it stepped aside. The darkness lifted. Nico felt a new strength inside him. He realized that fear could be overcome with understanding. At the end of the hallway, the room opened into a large chamber. Here, he saw a group of aliens sitting quietly. They looked different, some tall, some short, some with many limbs. But their eyes all showed kindness. One stepped forward. She was small but had a powerful presence. I am Lyra, she said softly. You have passed the test of courage. Now, you must pass the test of heart. Nico smiled slightly. He felt tired but ready. Lyra explained, in this chamber, you will face your greatest fear. But it will not be with weapons or fight. You will face it with truth. The chamber walls began to glow with soft light. Nico felt a warmth spread through him. Then, images appeared on the walls. His family on Earth, waiting for him. He saw his mother's smile and his younger sister's laugh. But then the images changed. He saw Earth destroyed by war. He saw people fighting, cities falling, and the sky turning dark. Nico's heart ached. He realized this fear was not just for himself, but for all people he loved. The voice spoke softly again. Tell the truth, Nico. What do you fear most? Nico closed his eyes. He spoke honestly. I fear losing the chance to make things better. I fear that humans will never learn to live in peace. The room grew quiet. Then, a gentle light surrounded Nico. He felt calm, as if a heavy weight was lifted. Lyra smiled. You have shown your true heart. This is the greatest strength. The chamber doors opened, and Nico stepped out. He saw Queen Mira waiting for him at the entrance. You have done well, Mira said. Few have come this far. Nico looked at her. What comes next? Mira's eyes shone with pride and something like hope. The forbidden room still holds more secrets. But for now, you have proven yourself worthy. Rest now, for the trials ahead will test you even more. Nico nodded, feeling a mix of relief and determination. He knew this was only the beginning. Nico woke to soft light filtering through the tall windows of a quiet chamber. The walls were smooth and glowing faintly with blue light. He felt rested, but also aware of the weight of the challenges still ahead. Queen Mira had said the trials were only beginning. As he stood and prepared to leave the room, the door opened gently. Alain, the Queen's messenger, stepped inside. The Queen awaits you in the Hall of Decisions, he said in a calm voice. Nico followed quietly, his mind full of questions. What would this next test be? How much more would the forbidden room reveal? The Hall of Decisions was larger than any room Nico had seen so far. It was circular, with high ceilings and walls covered in strange symbols that shifted slowly. At the center stood Queen Mira, her silver skin shining softly under the lights. Round her were several figures, tall aliens in robes, watching Nico closely. Welcome back, Nico, Mira said. Her voice was calm but carried great authority. You have shown courage and heart. Now, you must show wisdom, she gestured to the symbols on the walls. These are the histories of many worlds, some lost, some thriving. Your task is to find the lesson hidden in their stories. Nico walked slowly around the hall, watching the symbols change and flow, each told a story, battles fought, leaders rising and falling, alliances made and broken. It was like reading a book made of light. Suddenly, the symbols stopped changing. One image stayed bright, a planet torn by war, but saved by a simple act of kindness. Nico felt a pull in his heart. He stepped closer and touched the symbol. The Queen spoke. Tell me, what lesson do you see in this story? Nico thought carefully. Even in the darkest times, small acts of kindness can change the future. They remind us that hope is never lost. Mira nodded. Good. But wisdom is not just knowing stories. It is knowing when to act and when to wait. At that moment, one of the aliens stepped forward. We have a challenge for you, Nico. You must make a choice that will affect many lives. The hall changed again. A holographic image appeared in the center, showing two planets. One was peaceful but isolated, the other rich in resources but at risk of war. You may choose to protect one planet. The alien said. Which will you choose? Nico looked carefully. The peaceful planet had a small population living in harmony but was vulnerable. The resource-rich planet could help many but was unstable. He thought about his own world, Earth, and how balance was important. I choose to protect the peaceful planet, Nico said, because peace is the foundation for growth and understanding. The Queen smiled softly. A wise choice. Suddenly, the room shook slightly. The aliens looked surprised. You have passed the test of wisdom, Mira said. But not all here agree with your choices. From the shadows, a group of nobles entered the hall. Their eyes were sharp, and their voices cold. This human is dangerous, one said. He could upset the balance of power. Another nodded. The forbidden room's secrets should remain locked. Mira raised her hand. Enough. Nico has proven himself worthy. We will not hide in fear. Nico looked at the nobles. He understood their fear. Change was never easy. I do not wish to bring harm, he said quietly. I only want to learn and build trust. The nobles whispered among themselves but said nothing more. Mira turned to Nico. You have many more challenges ahead. But know this, you are not alone. She motioned to Ril and Lyra, who stepped forward. These are your allies. Trust them, and you will find strength. Nico felt a warmth inside. For the first time, he felt he belonged here in this strange world. As the hall doors opened, he stepped out with his new companions. The journey through the Forbidden Room was far from over. The hallways outside the Forbidden Room were quiet, but Nico felt a growing tension in the air. He walked beside Ril and Lyra, his two new allies. They had been silent for a while, each thinking deeply. Finally, Lyra spoke, her voice soft but serious. Nico, not all here welcome you. The nobles who oppose you will try to stop what the Queen has begun. Ril nodded. There's a group that wants to control the Forbidden Room's power for themselves. They believe humans are a threat. Nico frowned. Why? I only want to help. Lyra sighed. Fear and old wounds. Our people have suffered long wars and betrayals. Some believe the secrets in this room are too dangerous to share. Nico looked ahead, determined. Then we have to prove them wrong. They reached a wide chamber filled with glowing maps of stars and planets. At the center, a large table showed the galaxy in fine detail. Queen Mira was already there, waiting. Her face was calm but carried a hint of worry. Good, she said. You are ready to see more. Mira pointed to a distant star system on the map. This is the Vran cluster. It was once a place of peace, but is now in chaos. She explained that the Forbidden Room held a way to bring balance to that region. But to do so, they had to act carefully. Nico listened carefully. What can I do? You must go there, Mira said. Learn what is wrong and find a way to help. But be cautious. The faction I told you about will watch you closely. Ril stepped forward. We will come with you. You will not face this alone. Nico felt a mix of hope and fear. This mission would be dangerous, but it was also a chance to make a real difference. The team prepared quickly. The ship waiting outside was sleek and fast, designed for speed and stealth. Nico climbed aboard with Ril and Lyra as the engines hummed to life. He looked back at the palace one last time. The journey through space was smooth, but the silence was heavy. No one spoke much, each lost in thought. Nico studied the stars. Outside, wondering what awaited them, suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped softly. Lyra checked the screen. Something is following us, she said quietly. Ril's face grew serious. It's the faction. They do not want us to reach Vran. Nico gripped the armrest. Can we lose them? Ril smiled slightly. We can try. The ship dove into a nearby asteroid field. Huge rocks floated in silence, blocking sensors and hiding the ship's movements. The faction ships tried to follow, but had difficulty navigating the tight space. After tense minutes, the sensors showed no sign of the pursuers. We lost them, Lyra said with relief. Nico exhaled slowly. That was close, Ril nodded. The faction will not give up easily. As they approached the Vran cluster, the view outside the window changed. The once bright planets now looked damaged. Some had burning cities, others were covered in gray dust. Lyra pointed to one planet below. That is Vran Prime, the heart of the cluster. Its people suffer the most. Nico looked at the planet. He felt a deep sadness for those who lived. Their ship landed quietly on Vran Prime's surface. The air was thick with smoke and dust. Buildings were broken, and people moved quickly, afraid and tired. Nico stepped outside with Ril and Lyra. They wore simple clothes to avoid drawing attention. As they walked through the damaged city, a man approached. His eyes were sharp and full of anger. You are not welcome here, he said harshly. Lyra raised her hand calmly. We come in peace. We want to help. The man studied them for a moment. The faction controls this city. They do not want outsiders. Nico stepped forward. Who leads this faction? The man's eyes darkened. A powerful leader named Varn. He uses fear to rule. Nico felt a chill. This was more dangerous than he had thought. We must find a way to reach the people and help them, he said quietly. Lyra nodded. But we must be careful. Varn watches closely. They moved through the city, listening and learning. The people whispered stories of hope and despair. Some trusted them, others feared betrayal. One night, while resting in a safe place, Rill spoke. Varn's power comes from fear, but also from control of a device in the city. What kind of device? Nico asked. A machine that controls minds, Lyra said. It spreads fear and obedience. Nico's eyes widened. We have to find it and stop it. The next day, they began searching the city's underground tunnels. The passages were dark and full of traps, but their determination pushed them forward. After hours, they found a hidden door. Behind it was a room filled with strange machines glowing with a dark light dot at the center was the device, a large orb pulsing with energy. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them. Varn appeared from the shadows, a tall man with cold eyes. You are brave to come here, he said with a cruel smile. But your courage will be your end. Nico stepped forward, his voice steady. This ends now, Varn. You will not control these people anymore. Varn laughed. We will see. The fight had begun. The room was dark except for the eerie glow of the pulsing orb in the center. Nico faced Varn, his heart steady but his mind racing. The alien leader's cold smile never left his face. You think you can stop me? Varn asked, his voice low and sharp. This device controls the minds of everyone in this city. Without it, chaos will follow. Nico took a deep breath. Fear is a chain, but it is also a prison. People deserve to be free. Varn laughed cruelly. You are naive. Human power is needed to keep order. Rill and Lyra moved closer to Nico, ready to fight if needed. But Nico knew this battle was more than strength. It was about hope and courage. Varn raised his hand, and the orb glowed brighter. Waves of energy spread through the room, and Nico felt a strange pressure on his mind. The device was trying to control his thoughts, to make him obey. Nico clenched his fists. He focused on his own memories, his family, his mission, and the trust Queen Mira had placed in him. Slowly, the pressure began to fade. You cannot control me, he said firmly. Varn's eyes narrowed. Then you leave me no choice. Suddenly, the machines round the room began to hum louder. The orb's light grew intense, filling the chamber. With blinding energy. Nico saw the device was reaching its full power. If it was not stopped now, the entire city would fall deeper into fear and control. Rill and Lyra joined forces with Nico. Together, they moved toward the orb, ready to destroy it. But Varn was fast. He used a hidden weapon, sending a blast of energy toward them. Nico jumped aside, feeling the heat pass close. The fight was fierce. Each time they approached the orb, Varn pushed them back. But Nico saw something in the device, a way to turn its power. He shouted to Rill and Lyra, help me reach the control panel. Working together, they dodged Varn's attacks and moved toward a small console beside the orb. Nico reached the panel and saw strange symbols and buttons glowing in blue and red. He remembered the lessons from the Forbidden Room. Every machine had a balance of power. With careful hands, he pressed a sequence of buttons. The orb's pulsing slowed. The energy waves grew weaker. Varn screamed in frustration. No, you cannot. Nico pressed the final button. The orb's light changed from bright red to calm blue. The room fell silent. The machine was no longer controlling minds. Instead, it began to release a gentle energy, one that filled the room with peace. The people of the city outside began to feel the change. Fear lifted from their hearts. For the first time in a long while, they could think clearly. Varn fell to his knees, defeated. What have you done? He whispered. Nico looked at him with calm eyes. I have freed them. Rill stepped forward. Your rule ends here. Varn looked around. For the first time, he seemed small and powerless. The team left the chamber and returned to the city streets. The change was visible. People smiled, talked freely, and helped each other rebuild what was lost. Nico felt a deep joy inside. This was why he had come, to bring hope where there was darkness. But he also knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had many places like Vran Prime, places that needed help and trust. Lyra put a hand on his shoulder. You have done well, Nico. The Queen will be proud. Nico smiled. I could not have done this alone. Rill nodded. Together, we are stronger. As the sun set over the recovering city, Nico looked up at the stars. He knew the journey was far from over, but now he was ready. After their victory on Varan Prime, Nico, Ril, and Lyra returned to the palace on Vetra. The journey back was quiet but filled with new hope. The people of the Varan cluster would begin to heal, and their freedom was a sign that change was possible. Queen Mira awaited them in the grand hall. Her silver eyes sparkled with pride. You have done well, Nico. You faced great dangers and showed true courage. Nico bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. But I could not have done it without Ril and Lyra. Mira nodded. They are worthy allies. You have earned more than their trust. She paused and then spoke with a serious tone. There's one more thing you must decide. Nico looked up, curious. Mira gestured to a small device on a pedestal nearby. It was a glowing orb, similar to the one on Varan Prime, but smaller and pulsing with gentle light. This device can amplify intelligence and unity, Mira explained. It has the power to bring peace to many worlds, including your own Earth, Nico's. Heart raced. This was the secret of the Forbidden Room, a tool that could change the galaxy. Mira continued, but with great power comes great risk, if misused. It could bring destruction instead of peace. Nico took a deep breath. He understood the weight of this choice. Will you take this device back to your people? Mira asked. Nico thought of Earth, a world full of beauty but also conflict. He thought of his family and friends. In the future he wished for them. It is a great responsibility, he said slowly. But if used wisely, it could help many. Mira smiled gently. Then you must promise to use it carefully, with honesty and respect. Nico nodded. I promise. The Queen placed the device in Nico's hands. It felt warm and alive, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. At that moment, the hall's doors opened, and the nobles who had opposed Nico entered. Their expressions were serious, but less harsh than before. One of them stepped forward. We see that you have earned the Queen's trust. We hope this will mark a new era. Another nodded. May peace guide your path. Nico looked at them and smiled. I hope so too. With the device safely secured, Nico prepared to leave Vetra. His companions walked with him to the ship, ready for the journey home. As the engine started, Nico looked back at the palace one last time. He felt a deep sense of gratitude and hope. The stars stretched before him, full of possibilities. He knew the road ahead would be difficult. The device's power must be shared carefully, and trust must grow between worlds. But Nico was ready to face whatever came next. The ship moved steadily through the vastness of space. Nico sat quietly, holding the glowing device carefully in his hands. The light from the orb filled the small cabin with a soft, calming glow. Outside, stars shimmered like diamonds on black. Silk. Nico thought about everything he had learned on Vetra, the trials, the challenges, and the trust he had earned. He felt proud but also aware of the great responsibility he carried. This device could change the fate of many worlds, including his own Earth. Ril and Lyra stood nearby, watching the stars in silence. Both had become more than companions. They were true friends. Nico smiled and spoke softly. We did well. Together, we can help so many. Lyra nodded. The journey has just begun. There will be challenges ahead, but I believe in us. Ril looked at Nico and said, your people will be surprised, but they need to see what you have seen. That unity and trust can bring peace. Nico closed his eyes for a moment and remembered the faces of those he had met. The frightened people of Varan Prime, the powerful yet troubled Queen Mira, and even the defeated Varn. Each had taught him something important. Suddenly, the ship's communication panel beeped. A message from Earth appeared on the screen. It was from Nico's closest friend, welcoming him back and asking about his mission. Nico smiled and replied, I bring hope, a chance to build a better future. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Nico felt a wave of emotions, excitement, nervousness, and determination. He knew that sharing the device's power would not be easy. Some might fear it, others might want to misuse it. When the ship landed, a small group waited to greet him, scientists, leaders, and friends all looked curious and hopeful. Nico stepped down, holding the glowing orb carefully. He began to speak. This device is a gift and a challenge. It can help us grow smarter and kinder, but only if we work together with respect and trust. The crowd listened intently. Many had doubts, but Nico's honesty and courage made them pause. Over the next weeks, Nico worked with scientists and leaders to understand the device. They tested it carefully, making sure it was safe and used only for good. Slowly, the device's gentle energy spread. People began to communicate better, solve problems faster, and feel more connected. Conflicts started to ease, and communities came together. Nico's dream of peace began to grow. Back on Vetra, Queen Mira watched the news with a proud smile. She knew that the bond between their worlds had started strong and would only grow. Nico often thought of his friends there and sent messages of friendship and hope. One evening, as the sun set on Earth, Nico stood outside and looked up at them. "Stars," he whispered. "Thank you, Mira. Thank you, Vetra. Together, we will make the galaxy a better place." The future was bright. A new dawn had arrived, full of promise and unity.